Maruti Suzuki's People Technology presents Suzuki Connect with Navigate to Car and many other features.
Watch more, feel more. Dell.
Well, all these years of T20 international cricket, and yet Bangladesh and England somehow did not find the time to cross paths. That changes today as these two teams take off in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2021. We're looking ahead to that game from Group 1. Bangladesh must win this, you think, after going down against Sri Lanka. England with that impressive win over the West Indies. This is Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Dell. Shauryar Nafees is here, perhaps a bit anxious today after how that last game went. Steve Harmison joins us as well. I'm staggered that we've never seen an England-Bangladesh T20I in all these years. How is it that you two didn't find the time to meet each other? There's probably more to do with you, Stephen, and everyone else in your part of the world.
Yeah, just blame England. It always is. It's staggering that. I think it's staggering that Pakistan beat India for the first time in a World Cup tournament, but more staggering that England have never played Bangladesh in a World Cup. It's going to be a great game. It's going to be a day game, which is going to be probably more in the favour of Bangladesh. But the message that I think England set to the world of cricket when bowling West Indies out for 55, I think that was a message to say England have started with their A game and it's going to take something to beat them.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if there are nervous and anxious Bangladesh fans, you've got to try and win every game in this, what is now looked at as the group of death. Shauryar, they've won the toss again. They're going to bat first. Does that make you feel a little more confident if you're a Bangladesh fan?
It's a fair call. As a Bangladeshi, I thought that if they're going to win the toss, they're going to bowl first because bat first because you put runs on the board and then try to defend it. Bangladesh is in a pressure situation, I must admit, and in a pressure situation, you don't want to chase. On the other hand, England are in very good shape. They started the tournament brilliantly. So Bangladesh are doing the right thing. So you go there, bat, because Bangladesh's batting has been quite okay in this tournament. So you put the runs on the board and then you rely on your bowlers to defend those totals in that hot condition, in day match. So I think it's a fair call and it will give Bangladesh the most of the opportunities.
Yeah, they got to win this, you think. Now, Steve, interesting you point that out. I was going to ask you actually, what do England take away from that last game against the West Indies? Not because that scorecard just puts them, so nicely on net run rate too, but was that more about the West Indies self-destructing? Do you as a team still go after a game like that and think, did we really know a lot about ourselves after a game like this?
I think you're right. I think you know everything about England, where they're at when it comes to the England cricket team's point of view, in their strengths and weaknesses. The side that they've got, I think, is rightly ranked at number one in the world at this moment in time. Going into this tournament, it was a team that beat England or India would be the ones that would progress and probably win the trophy. So from a point of view, I think England know what their strengths and weaknesses are. I think every opposition in this group know where England are strong and where England are potentially vulnerable if there is anywhere. I just think this was a message to the world to say, sometimes the favourites don't start well. Look at India, but England, they couldn't have come up against a better team for that in the West Indies. And the self-destruct West Indies, well, it wasn't a surprise to me. I didn't believe West Indies would be in any shape or form be a powerhouse in this tournament because the surface we're playing on and the characters, the individual characters that you've got in the West Indies side. I just thought it was a thoroughly professional performance by England, and one that Bangladesh are going to have to be right on top form and have a little bit of luck go their way to have any sort of chance to win this game. But I think both sides will be happy with where the toss is. England will quite comfortably chase, not a problem at all. And they also showed against the West Indies that bowling first, they're quite comfortable bowling first. You might see a different game plan to England. I don't think you'll see as much spin in the power play. I think you'll see more seam and a bit of pace from Mills to try and take early wickets. And that will show the flexibility of what this England team possesses in this tournament.
How do Bangladesh bounce back from that last game, Shauryar? It would have been heartbreaking because they found themselves in a great position. They did the job in the first half, and their fielding just let them down. Now this game comes up. England, you've never played them before in T20 years. What sort of chat do you think the dressing rooms had?
Bangladesh had a great training day yesterday. I was looking at their training, and they looked very happy. The bubble was very up. They were like supporting each other. What I've heard from the dressing room is, after that loss, there were a lot of criticism, but every single player are like all together and they're supporting each other. So in terms of the dressing room scenario, it has been they have picked themselves up and they're in a high note. And Bangladeshi players believe that if they can put their right performance and they can execute their plans, Bangladesh has a very fair chance of this game. But still, England, one of the favorites to win this tournament, one of the strongest side, currently number one. It will be a very difficult game. But as far as the team is concerned, they have picked themselves up from the loss of Sri Lanka game, and they're in very good, happy shape. Hopefully, they will come to the ground with a positive note. They will try to execute their plans accordingly. And it starts from the toss. You have won the toss. You are batting. England has a very good bowling lineup. They have bowled out West Indies 55 last match, so they will be pumped up. So you come there, you try to keep your head down, nerve down, bat, put up a decent score, and then Bangladesh has that bowling power to get England, at least get England all out, I think, because if you want to beat England, you need to take all those 10 wickets. So Bangladesh it will be a very, very difficult game, I must tell you, but Bangladesh has that capacity to win against bigger teams.
All right. Well, we do see a Bangladesh bowling lineup that will have to contend without Mohammad Saifuddin out of the tournament through injury. I was curious if Taskin Ahmed walks straight back in or Shariful Islam seems to have got a game. Seems to be a little bit of confusion on that. I'll just confirm that in just a moment for you, whether it's Taskin or Shariful that have come back. But England are unchanged. And question for that on that, Steve, was whether they would find place for Mark Wood if he was fully fit. He doesn't find place, though. Does that surprise you in any way?
No, it doesn't surprise me. I had a few text messages with Mark over the last few days, and when he wasn't picked in the first game, I think it was more or less indicating that he was going to miss the first two matches. So that's a little bit of a blow for England, but the balance of the England side is good at this moment in time. And I look further down the line as the pitches become a little bit harder to bat on, because of the IPL's been on these surfaces, and now the heat and the World T20 has been played on them. I think when it comes to the last 2 or 3 group games of this tournament, and then the semi-final and final, I think the seam bowler could be very, very difficult to score off in that middle period, hitting the deck hard, and that would bring Mark Wood into play. Interesting, in the last game, that David Malan didn't bat. He got shunted all the way down to number 7. I don't think that's done David Malan any favours whatsoever, because there was question marks of his place before the tournament, which is crazy because he's the world #1 batsman ranked in the world. So that's where I see Mark Wood potentially coming in. You're looking at Moeen Ali at 7. Is he wasted at 7 after the IPL he's just had for Chennai Super Kings and the runs he scored for them? If he bats at 7, are you leaving 10, 15 runs out there because you haven't? Moeen's only faced 7 or 8 balls. So these are the things that'll be in the selector's mind when it comes to it. Malan has to score runs today. He has to bat at number 3 to sort of justify that this is the right balance of the side. If England decide to go down the same route and shunt people up the order, it might be Mark Wood that comes in for David Malan, or a batsman for the next game when Mark Wood's fit.
How interesting is that? If there is room for Mark Wood, it'll be at the expense of a bat. David Malan's not had a good time of it recently. Steve endorsing his faith in him because he is the #1 ranked T20I batter. But if you look at just form going into this tournament, it hasn't been great in 2021 for David Malan. That being said, though, he's still averaging a little over 26. You take that in T20Is, but strike rate of 115 is better player than that. Now, Shariful Islam gets the nod for Bangladesh and not Tashkent. They've gone to the left-arm seam. Otherwise, no changes there. What do they miss out without Saifuddin Shahryar? How big a loss is that? And thoughts on Shariful's inclusion ahead of Taskin Ahmed?
Saifuddin has been picking wickets for Bangladesh consistently. He has a good Yorker and he can swing the ball. But Shariful getting a game, I'm very happy for him. Shariful has been doing significantly well in the last 2 series against Australia and New Zealand. Shoriful, a left-arm seamer, but very different from Mustafiz. Shoriful has a very high arm action, loves to hit the ball on the deck, gets a fair amount of bounce. He has a good slower ball. I think it's a fair call because if you look at England's batting order, they have Moeen Ali and Owen Morgan. So most of the batters are like right-handed. So Shoriful will try to take the ball away from the batters. He's a special talent. He's one of the team members of this Bangladesh T20 side who has won World Cup. He and Shamim Patur used to be the part of under-19 World Cup team which won last time. So he has a winning habit. He's a tough guy. He feels well. And I'm very happy for him because he's going to play for his first World Cup game. On the other hand, Taskin, he was bowling very fast, but his pitch map was here and there. I think Shoriful will bring fresh blood, fresh energy, and some freshness to the team. So I think it's fair call to play Shoriful.
All right. So it's Bangladesh batting first. Conversation more around Bangladesh's batters. They did well, Shara, didn't they? To get 170. Mushfiqur Rahim was a large part of that. You think today in what's effectively a must-win game for them. Again, they're just relying on their big guns. Mushfiqur, in spite of the lack of runs in T20, seems to have got a score at just the right time at the start of the tournament. This tournament be a long way to decide what Mushfiqur Rahim's personal future in T20I cricket is.
No, first of all, these big players like the experienced player Mushfiqur Rahim, Mahmudullah, Tamim, Saqib, they have played their part and they have been playing their part for a long time. These players they have earned the respect what they are getting at this moment. They have performed day in day out for the country. We were a lot of us were a bit concerned about Mushfiqur Rahim form, but the amount of hard work he puts and the amount of self-discipline he has, I never had doubt about regarding his form. It's glad to see that he has come back to form with a brilliant knock last match. In a T20 match, if you started hitting the ball properly, you have to take the responsibility. Whoever comes to bat, you have to bat. You have to, first of all, you have to know your role. Then you have to execute the plan. And against England or against any other side, you'd love to score something around 160. I would love to see the top order getting a decent partnership this game. The top order batting hasn't been that great in this tournament. Naeem Sheikh has been consistent, but on the other hand, Liton Das, he is a special talent. But sometimes if you're not performing well enough, that talent is not going to do anything good for you. So the amount of talent he has, I would like to see him spend some time in the middle and just give yourself an opportunity to score. The opening partnership has to do well, and then Saqib's come, Mushfiq comes, and I would like to see Mahmudullah bat for longer. Last match we have seen they have sent Afif instead of Mahmudullah, but the two opening batters, then Saqib, Mushfiq, Mahmudullah, and then Shuhan and Afif can play their part. So if you're batting, you have started hitting the ball, you have to take responsibility and make sure that you finish the innings.
Mushfiqur's he's been around a long time, Steve, hasn't he? And we've seen him do the job in ODI cricket and in Test cricket. He's never quite commanded that sort of popularity in T20I cricket. What we saw in the last game, though, was different. He was outstanding on one of these slightly slow surfaces we're seeing in the UAE. Could it be a tournament for players like him, though? Batters like Mushfiqur, maybe a Stephen Smith, no Joe Root for England this year, but could it be that sort of tournament where these sort of guys ace it more than the power game guys?
Yeah, and I think that they're going to be more valuable as the tournament goes on because the pitches are only going to get slower. I cried for a year saying Joe Root should be in this tournament, and I still I stand by that because he's the best player of spin. And as this tournament goes on, we've seen Steve Smith the other night, and these types of players are the ones that you bat around. The ones that you want them to spend a long time in the middle, because even if there's wickets falling around them, there is a solid base from one end who, one, experienced, two, understands the surface that they're playing on and comfortable they understand the surface that they're playing on. And then they get the angles of the ground, which they need to maybe run to, make sure that they put pressure on the fielders. And then just all it does is it just kicks the can down the road that you can have an explosive finish. If you have an explosive start, somebody in the middle who's experienced, like Mushtaq, got me words up there. So apologies for that. But he's got some experience, and they're right. It's easy to write people off. It is easy to write people off. But when guys have stood up time after time after time, and they've got respect not only in their own dressing room but in other dressing rooms, then form's just temporary, and the class will come through. And as the tournament goes on, these players are going to become more valuable for their team.
All right. Now, England's bowlers, they were the superstars of that last game against the West Indies. I was interested to see if Tim Mills would walk straight into that team. There was a toss up between him and David Willey, you thought, but Mills was favourite to start after what's been a bit of an exile from international cricket for England, Steve. He looks a different bowler from at least whatever I remember of him in international cricket 2 or 3 years back. What stands out about Tim Mills? What's the 2.0 version for you?
Fitness, simple as that, Ranak. It's fitness, and he's a lot fitter. He's a lot stronger. He's had a very good blast competition in England. He had a decent 100 competition. He's bowled quite a bit for Tamal Mills, and I just think it's the confidence from being able to bowl and constantly bowling. The minute you've got a doubt in your mind of an injury, then the guy on you is that man that's always on that shoulder that's telling you that you can't do this, can't do that, or your body's not up to it. The chap that puts a lot of doubt in your mind, and you've got to push him to one side and tell him that no, I'm the man. I'm confident. Stick your chest out and go and try and put all them negative thoughts out of his mind. The injuries that he's had have been some horrific injuries. In the last 9 months, he's got himself in a position that he can stay on the field, he can perform at peak fitness, i.e. bowling at extreme pace, and the slower ball that he possesses causes a lot of problems when he's left arm, obviously angle, 90 mile an hour, and he's got a slower ball that looks like a normal ball seam up that's coming towards you. He's a very, very dangerous customer, and I think the reason why he's in a position he is the confidence that his body is fit, it's strong, and he's been free of injury for a while now. So he's a huge tool for England, but he's somebody I think England need to manage. And I think the sooner they can get Mark Wood back up to speed and fitness, that will help Mills in the future part of the rest of this tournament, because England could leave him out and have this like for like as in pace wise and not put too much pressure. If Wood still keeps being injured, and all of a sudden there's a lot of pressure on Mills to play, and then you're asking question marks of a body which has not always been durable for a 3 or 4 week period.
You normally have a target bowler in mind when you see an opposition lineup, Shahryar, and I thought Bangladesh were excellent against Sri Lanka. They neutralized the threat of Hasaranga, and that went a long way in them getting 170. Look at this England bowling lineup. Of course, Adil Rashid is their lead spinner. You got Moeen Ali, and you've got the three seamers, Jordan, Tamil Mills, and Chris Wokes. That's it, though. Livingston can bowl. He's a bit of a part-timer, but how do you see Bangladesh's approach in terms of the types of bowlers that they have? Are there particular bowlers that you're going to target today if you're trying to try and get 170?
First of all, Bangladeshi bowlers, batsmen needs to be very aware of Taimur Mills because he's a bowler. He's a special talent, but he was out of the international scenario for a while. This guy, he bowls quick, and then he has got a very great slow ball. On the other hand, if you look at the spinners, Bangladeshi batsmen will be able to manage Adil Rashid and Moeen Ali quite well, I believe, because Bangladeshi players traditionally they play spin well. And Chris Jordan in the death overs, Chris Jordan can be deadly. I don't find that any particular bowlers Bangladesh is going to target, but Bangladesh needs to bat in a disciplined manner. It's not like that you go there and try to hit everyone out of the park, and on the other hand, it's not like you're going to respect too much every bowler. So you have to go there. I don't find any bowlers who can be very deadly. Say if there was Jofra Archer in this lineup, I would have said that okay, you have to just play him out and then try to attack others. I don't see any particular bowlers in this English bowling lineup, but you have to pay respect. And England are number one team, so they have done something right to be in the number one position. So you have to have the respect. On the other hand, you have to bat in a decent, disciplined manner.
That's very interesting you say that, Shaurya, because I think that's true. You look at every team around the world, you think here's one guy we'll see out, whether that's a Bumrah or whether that's a Rashid Khan. Every team will have that one strike bowler. England don't seem to have that in the absence of Jofra Archer necessarily, Steve. And Chris Wokes has been good for them. He's trying to fill a few missing all rounders in that side. He's in this team ahead of a Tom Curran. But it's an interesting observation that England don't necessarily have that one bowler that needs to be played out. Does that work to their advantage at times?
I think it works to their advantage, England's advantage, because they don't have one bowler that you want to see out for 4 overs. They have 5 bowlers who know their job, and you've got to be careful for 20 overs with England because they've got natural variations. They've got left arm that can bowl quickly. They've got an opening bowler. If the white ball does swing early doors, which I would imagine Chris Wokes will take the first or the second over and try and get the ball to swing. I think Mills will bowl early in the power play and try and get the ball with heat on it, and be aggressive. So they can go. I think England have got all bases covered from that point of view. And I think they've got 2 very, very good spinners in T20 cricket. Adil Rashid, he's probably one of the most underrated international spin bowlers going because nobody talks him in the same sort of bracket as the likes of Rashid Khan, people like that. But Adil Rashid is a fantastic bowler. He is one of the best white ball spin bowlers in that England have ever had, and obviously in the modern generation game. So, write them off at your peril. I just think England have got 20 overs covered with 5 very, very good bowlers who understand the game, understand their own games, and know what to bowl at what time to bowl. We feel. Just think the experiences of the England bowling attack is what makes it so potent.
All right. Now, Shahryar said 160, something he'd like to see Bangladesh get. We saw South Africa limp their way to 118 in the only other afternoon game in Abu Dhabi, and that was they made a contest out of it with Australia chasing the way they were. What sort of score would you take if you were England? Is this going to be one of those 150, 160s that are going to be hard to chase, Steve?
In this situation, in this condition,
Yes,
shall I?
Yeah, carry on,
Right.
Shahryar.
In these conditions, every single match you need to score something around 150. If you are scoring 150, then your bowler will have chance to defend it. You don't plan to score 180, 190, as Chief said that they have played IPL for a month and the wicket will going to be slower and slower and slower. And in this condition, the players will feel the heat. So every match you go there, try to score something around 150, and it will give your bowlers a good opportunity to defend that.
Steve, 150 good enough? Above par, perhaps? Par?
I think England will take 150. I think England will believe they can chase down any total. I think this game sits in the balance of the first 4 overs. If Bangladesh get off to a good start, the confidence that they get going from that good start will stand them in good times for the rest of the match. If England take 2 wickets in them first 4 overs, then there's just the X factor of playing England might just weigh too much on Bangladesh's shoulders, and England will steamroller Bangladesh. So for me, it's in the first 4 overs of this cricket match where the balance of power will go. Bangladesh start well, the confidence that they get from it will be great. If England start well, then they're England. They're number 1 ranked 2020 team in the world, and when you've got a guy down by the throat, England are very, very good at keeping them down there. So for me, that's where it sits.
All right. Well, I think it's a fascinating game, this, because we don't know much about England, Bangladesh when they come together. It's a historic day, first T20I for these 2 sides. So Steve Amerson and Shahryar Nafees will join us in 20 overs time to see how many Bangladesh have got. Gentlemen, I shall see you then. And on Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout powered by Dell. We hope to have your company too. As we leave you on our pre-show, though, we want to show you some stunning visuals from the host cities. This game, of course, in Abu Dhabi, and these stunning visuals are powered by Dell.
Maruti Suzuki's People Technology presents Suzuki Connect with Navigate to Car and many other features.
Watch more, feel more, Dell.